All right. All right. Test it. Hello. Good to have you here. My name's Todd Rains. I just turned my mic on because I wasn't hearing myself. So I'm hoping everybody can hear me fine, see me fine. Um, and I've got a little flicker on my monitor here, but the other monitor looks fine. So let me know if you see any flicker in the image and if there's any issues with the sound. I did a demo last night to a club up in Canada, and I had a few issues. But everything worked out just about 10 minutes late, but want to make sure everything's kind of working okay. So Cindy says, no flicker right now. Thank you, Cindy. Good. So this monitor may be starting to flake out. So appreciate that. And hi, everybody in the chat, by the way. So happy. Well, here it's a little chilly Friday. It's probably, 35, 40 degrees out, maybe at the most. And I'm sure it's chilly some other places. So David, James, Fred, Roy, Ken, Finn. Finn from Denmark. Good to have you here, Finn. That's a new one on me. It's good to have people from across the globe. I saw down here our friend Ian. Brendan is in Blizzard, Kansas. Oh, sorry, Brenda. Sorry, not Brendan. Brenda. Sorry, my apologies. There's Ian Coates from the UK, Hertford, UK. And of course, Cindy from Colorado. Sunny and cold. Nice. Lowell from down south. I don't know. Hopefully, you guys might get spared a little bit of this cold weather. I'm sure it's going to get cold down there. This weekend's supposed to be chilly. Next week, I guess starting tomorrow for the 7 days, we'll have freezing temperatures overnight, which is not unusual for Texas, but we always watch out for our freezing pipes and stuff like that. So, Cindy, let's see, David. I was going to post something and lose it here. Probably do that this afternoon, maybe, or tomorrow. Give you the whole insight on that. Sam, good to thank you for that. Everything sounds good here. Good to have you here. Thank you for joining, Sam. Appreciate it. John, what does John say? Wasn't there a show or book, My Friend Flicka? It was a little dolphin, I believe. My Friend Flicka. I think I got that right. I don't know what I said 2 weeks ago. I had to be corrected on something, but yeah, memory is a funny thing. So our friend Mark, thank you, Mark, and Ian there in Fort Worth. Thanks for all joining. I appreciate it. Rick has got tons of snow. So stay bundled up. Keep your pipes warm if that's what you need to do over the freeze here. So let's take a quick look. First of all, get me out of the way. We're going to look at Spindle Gouge for the third episode in a row. The first episode was, just talking about them, looking at them, different styles that there are. 2 weeks ago was at end of December. Last one in 2023, we said, let's turn something. So I turned a few things, these little balls and little spindle thing. We're going to do some more because I didn't get to everything last week. So what else can it do? So hopefully that is of interest to you. And if we take a look, there's how to get a hold of me. Everybody knows. If you don't know, take a look at woodturningtoolstore.com. You'll find tons of information up there. So this was what we did last episode 2 weeks ago in use. So I don't know what I turned, just some scrap wood, just to kind of show different cuts and stuff like that. But there was a few things I didn't get to, and so that's what we're going to do today. Next up, that was the one from, I guess, mid-December. Tomorrow, sign up for Cindy's class. Cindy, drop a link if you want. And that's going to be fun. I'll be there co-hosting as usual. Tall Hollow Vessel. I'm looking forward to it. So Cindy's back. Little holiday break over December. Back here in January to show us a bit more about what she does. Excellent teacher and presenter. So it's always a good experience. So cindydroza.com. Check that out. And then we are planning a vendor showcase the 6 vendors, myself, Cindy Drozda, Steve Worcester at Turning Wood, Joe Fleming at Airbrushing Wood, Lyle Jameson, and John Jordan, which is now being run by Vicky and other associates of John Jordan Woodturning. Get together and we do these free Zoom interactive meetings, fun time, show a few demos, raise some money for charities, and talk to you guys about whatever you want to chat about. But we'll present our tool specials. We'll have Q&A, mini demos, fun time hangout. Bring the popcorn, it says. So anyway, that is all I've got to show today on that. So we've got a couple of things on the lathe to look at and deal with in terms of other uses of spindle gouge. Excuse me, my wife made chocolate chip cookies, and so I filled up on a couple of those prior to starting. One of the things I didn't show I think I got them here. Yeah, so I did a couple of these little guys. I did some other little spindly thing. I can't quite remember where that is, but I didn't show about using it on the inside. And so I wanted to show a little bit of hollowing and stuff like that on the spindle gouge or with the spindle gouge to say that it's just a very useful tool. And maybe, I know for me, it has been kind of the second cousin, if you will, to my normal use. I use a bowl gouge for almost everything, and so I've been using the spindle gouge more and more, and I've always used one, but my go-to tool has always been the bowl gouge. So I want to make sure everybody's aware that you can use spindle gouges not only on spindles but on face grain work as well. I don't know if I got a block. Yeah, I've got some face work that we may get a chance to look at today, and hopefully we do. And but that it's a versatile tool, just like the bowl gouge. So I've got a few things here we can look at doing some stuff with. That might be a good one, but I've got this one already chucked up and stuff. So let's go ahead and look at that. So let me just look through the chat here. There's my wife saying a happy Friday, everybody. Thank you, Shelley. And Tony's here. So thank you, Tony, for joining. Appreciate it. Glenn Crandall, thank you. And there's Cindy's demo sign-up thing. So look out for cindydrozer.com and go and check that out. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Should be fun. Always a treat. All right, John. Yeah, no, John Lane up in Alaska is not complaining about the temperature. We're all wusses. That's fine. No worries. I grew up in Calgary. I know cold weather, but yeah, it's just things are built differently down here. Not necessarily intended for cold weather sometimes, or at least sustained cold weather. Oh, I got my panel for my what do you call it inside there? The belts. I had the belts panel open for some reason. And so one of the things I've done is I've gone through my drawers of tools, looked at a few, and this is one that I ground years ago. It's a 3/8 inch gouge, and I've got it very, very pointy. And so I thought, well, would that be good for drilling? I'm not quite sure. We're going to find out. So I'm going to drill with the spindle gouge. This one doesn't work. We've got one, plenty more where that came from. I really need to do some cleanup on my lathe. It's getting a little sticky. Last night I turned a bunch of, not a bunch, but a log of mesquite. And so that gets that tannin all over your hands. It's pretty much gone. But yeah, so This is a chunk of cherry, so shouldn't have too many problems at staining my fingers or cause, and it's dry, shouldn't cause any. This is stainless steel anyway, but it gets a little sticky. And let's turn that right down. Turn that on. First of all, let me see. So one of the things that I need to worry about is, do I have this close enough or too close? The tool rest to the turning. So the heel is ground off, and I want to make sure I'm able to get on the tool rest without sliding off the heel. And so I'm a little close, actually. So I'm going to back that up just a smidge. And I want to be able to get right on center. I think I've got a good view there. So I'm going to get right on center with the handle just slightly sloped down so I can lift it up. Look at this one. So I can lift it up and I'll be right on center. So that hopefully is going to work. We're going to see if this pointy little guy is going to have any issues. So Cindy, this is for you. Here is the Blackmagic camera, the new one, showing the back view. Not really interesting view at this point, but there you go. I've got it hooked up and it is working in here. So back to this one. We'll use this one and look at how this guy drills. So, oh, by the way, I was just show you how I got this in here. These are, I think, 3-inch diameter, 75 mil, sort of shark jaws or hollow form jaws. So I got it sunk up all the way in there and just gripping on the whole thing. It's going to give a lot of support as we hollow down in there. I've also got a tenon on there that's for another chuck, very small tenon. And so that can just remain down in there and stuff. So I am a fan of these jaws more and more. I haven't been using them long, last year or so. And it's just providing some unique possibilities. So there we go, back in action. Safety glasses, Todd. All right. A little dusty. So it was actually warmer in here last night than it is right now. I've got 2 heaters going. It's a bit chilly. And this lathe is, I don't know if it's cold. It's making some complaining noises. So I don't know how fast I'm going, 2,000. So what's happening is I can tell right away is that because this is a very shallow flute, it's drilling me off center. So I'm getting a little cone in there, and the heel or the bevel is pushing me off to the side. So this may not be the most efficient one for drilling. We'll give it one more shot. Get right on center. Not very effective. So let's try another one. Different style of gouge. And maybe a slightly deeper flute. There it is. So this one, let me get that one back here for a second. We'll compare and look at them. So you can see this is a fairly shallow gouge in terms of what's been milled off. There's the full round, and that is a little bit turned off. So the point is not at the center of the steel rod. This one is probably, so there's the round, there's how much is milled off, close to half. When we get to the bottom of the flute, it's probably about in the center of the shaft, thereabouts. So let's see how this one does at drilling. It's a different shape tip, obviously, quite a bit. So radical difference. Let's see which one is more effective. So things to think about when you're looking to drill. I'm going to drop that just a smidge because it's a bigger tool. This is a 1/2-inch gouge versus a 3/8 inch gouge. Let me catch up on chat. Let's see. Sorry, just catching up here. We've got Cindy Navarro in. Thank you, Cindy, for joining all the way from San Francisco. My daughter's down in Los Gatos, so I don't know if you guys ever met up when she was in San Francisco. I don't think so, but if we get out that way again, we'll have to look you up. Let's see, Cindy. Yeah, Cindy's complaining about the cold. And then she says, today's 37, relatively warm. So yeah, it's going to get cold. It's going to get cold here, below freezing here next few days. I think I need those jaws. Yeah, so these are the Axminster, I don't know if they, Piranha jaws. And they're on the SK. Let me go overhead here and back this up. They're on the SK114, so from Axminster, and they are the Piranha jaws, and they're about 3-inch in diameter. So they do work well. I've got the big tower jaws, the 4-inch ones I used last night, and so yeah, I do like these. Ian, so that should be your clue right in your backyard, Axminster. And the Piranha jaws on the SK114. And Cindy, you've got that now too. Axminster and 3-inch deep jaws. And yeah, they're written on here as, that's why I looked, because I can never remember. But yeah, the 3-inch deep hollow jaws, or Piranha jaws, I think is what they market them as. Jim said, which model of Blackmagic camera? Just because I'm a geek. This is the new Micro Cinema camera, 4K G2. Just came out, just got it last week or earlier this week. So brand new sort of camera. It is very small. If you want a comparison, the actual camera body is probably, oh, well, there we go. Let's, all right. So this block of wood here, this square is actually bigger than that camera. So it is probably as big as that. You can't even see that. I wrote, my pencil is not very. So forgive me, everybody, for geeking out a little bit, but the camera is probably about that big. And then depth-wise, it's maybe 2 inches. So the lens I have on it is bigger than the camera. So yeah, it's 4K camera, and let's get back to Halloween. So let me move this back here. We'll put that in picture in picture. We'll go to this one. Yeah, that one. All right, I just have to move this slightly. Sorry, folks. Figure that might help a little bit what we're trying to do here today. So let's see if this one hollows or drills a bit better. Oh, yeah, much better. So having that flute, or that, sorry, cutting tip sort of right on the center line of the shaft is valuable. So if we look, stop that, Todd, and go overhead. If we look at that shaft right around there, you can see that that cutting tip right there is probably about halfway in the middle of the tool. So what that means is acting like a drill bit, because you got a drill point right in the middle of your tool. So let's use this tool, and I've drilled down, I don't know, a little ways. Get something in there just an inch or two, and see what this back hollowing is all about. So Richard Raffin does this in his demos. I've done it a few times. I've actually done it with bowl gouge, believe it or not. But we're going to try it with this little gouge as well. I think the shape is about right. So back hollowing is basically cutting on the upside. Here is actually going to be cutting up here instead of over here. So we're going to put the gouge in there and cut with that upper wing up here and cut the wood up on top like that. So the trick to this is having some leverage on the tool rest. The tool rest very close, and let me get that back in there. Very close to the, by the way, Cindy, everybody else that's in geekdom out there, this is the controller that controls that camera. So if I don't know, I'm geeking out a little bit. Sorry, folks. It's just the way it goes. And is that one? Yeah. So this one is controlling this camera. Oops, I got that on there. Upper camera. This is controlling the zoom in and out. And there's a little trigger here that's controlling focus. Let me just pull that. So this will focus the top. Now focus on the tips below. So I got that all in one. So anyway, interesting stuff to Cindy and I and maybe other demonstrators, getting some control over your cameras. All right, so back hollowing. So there we are, and put that back up. So again, leverage, leveraging on the tool rest as a fulcrum to go up and down, and then using the right sort of shape of gouge. This is a very sort of fingernail type grind. I haven't done this today, so we're going to find out how it goes. Let me just check on. Let's see. Lance is asking, is the blank mounted to the bottom of the jaws? Yes, it is, Lance. It's mounted all the way back to the back here, resting the bottom. If you can see right in there in the inset picture, the bottom of the blank is way back here. So we got plenty of support. Good question. Cindy's dropped a link there in the chat, folks. So it's the Axminster US Piranha 114 millimeter gripper jaws. There you go. Go to Axminster and find that. That's not really a clickable link for everybody. So Blizzard. John is asking or saying works a little bit like an old-fashioned spoon bit. Yeah, very much so. I haven't seen one of those for a long time, but a spoon drill bit is a good analogy. Thank you. Lex is asking, what is the advantage of doing it that way? Only is you got a tool in your hand. What else can you do with it, right? So if you're limited to one tool, you don't have drill bits, this works in a pinch. So that's why to drill with it. Let's see. Yeah, okay, thank you. Somebody's giving me some reprieve. Thanks, Robert. Probably safe to say we're all geeks when we need to be. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Shelley knows too much about how much geekery I go through. All right, so let's carry on with this. So I want to be able to cut at center, so I'm gonna just test that I can end up kind of on center, which I am. So I'll tunnel that in a little bit, and now I might put on an extra handle length. This nice thing about modular handle, I just take and add on another piece there. That was maybe just a 4-inch, section. That's all I need. I don't need too much. But now I got 12 inches of handle instead of just 8, and I'm a bit more comfortable. So in there and up top. Come all the way out to get that edge. And probably not quite leveraged there. Maybe getting a bit too open. But that's essentially it. Now we've got that opened right up. So a little bit of back hollowing. I'm running out of material, and I guess I can go a little deeper maybe. I'm not quite sure. I think back hollowing only gets you so far. So now we've got, let it stop before I put my finger in there. We've got a bit of a ridge here, kind of see right there, and we've got a bit more depth down there. So we're now at the bottom of our drill hole that we drilled with the spindle gouge. So that is back hollowing. So something to practice if you want to try and use one tool to do all your work. You drill with it, you back hollow with it. Now we're going to cut with it a little bit here. And I am, let me see if this one kind of shows it, but not quite. Let's see, that is not, my light is not working. I got to replace my light. So now, if we're making a vessel out of this thing, one thing I do need to do before I finish this outside is put either a chucking point here or a chucking point in there or jam chucking point to be able to turn the outside shape, which I can do. I can also, as I said, there's a tenon on the bottom down here. I can grip it and shape the outside that way. Eventually I have to turn it around anyway, take that foot off. So things to think about before you go crazy. Let's finish off the inside. We need to drill a bit deeper, and I need to kind of hollow, and we're going to use the spindle gouge for that. So let's look at what other spindle gouges here. I got smaller ones. I've got that one we'll use in the faceplate. Let's just continue with this one. So when you're hollowing end grain, spindle grain like this, which the grain's going this way, you want to try and hollow from the inside out. What we did is hollow from kind of going inwards, but that back hollowing, we're actually cutting from the inside out, or from small diameter to large diameter. So we are cutting in the right direction. It's very hard to get a very smooth cut that way, and it's kind of hard even this way. But if we're cutting with a spindle gouge, we're cutting with this left wing and pulling it out from small diameter to large diameter, from the inside to the outside. And that's going to be cutting with the direction of the grain. I drew that graphic last night. Let's take a brief respite and talk about this for a quick second. So here's our box, the inside. And if we look at this side of the picture, all the grain is running this way, as these lines are indicating. Even the lines in the paper are kind of indicating that. And our hole in the bottom is there. And we want to cut this way in the direction of the arrow so we get supporting grain. If we're cutting down here, it's supported up here. If we're cutting here, it's supported up here. So all the way up here, you're supporting your grain, and you get a good cut. And that's especially true with, I was showing the hook tool last night in the demo, and that really just gives a fantastic surface when you cut in that direction. If you're cut in the wrong direction, if you're going from large diameter to small diameter, from outside to inside, then you're cutting against the grain. So as you cut this one, this is unsupported, and it's going to tear out. So you get some tear out that way. If you do hollow that way, maybe I'll just show that quickly, you'll end up getting dust. It may not show very well here with this wood, but if I, let's just use, if I cut with this gouge, downhill, it's hard to show. I don't have enough wood here to show, but if you're cutting that way, then you're cutting against the grain, and typically you wouldn't get nice fibers like that. But this cherry is I'm just trying to get to the center there. You're not seeing that, so let me pop that on, and not that one. That one. Trying to get to the center to drill a bit more. Let go of my tool. We're getting some squeal because that is a bit of an overhang for this tool. The width of the tool is probably a little bit short for this depth of cut. You see we're actually getting shavings off that coming the right way. Some nice curly shavings and then some sawdust as we get into side grain. So we're cutting end grain at the bottom. It's not too bad. So that is about maybe a little bit deeper might work. We've got a nice sort of shape going there. Got a little bumper at the bottom. And so that may take just a bit more work to kind of smooth out. What I might do, let's get a larger tool so we don't get that. You'll see the difference in sound. Is that the right? That's the wrong 5/8. Looking for the right tool adapter. Half. How come I don't have a... I think I put some tools away this morning that I maybe didn't need to. So that tool we had was a 1/2-inch tool. Now we're going to use a 5/8 tool, and we'll hear hopefully less squealing noise in terms of the vibration of the tool. Stiffer tool getting down there. I think I need another. Length of handle here. Again, just had 2 4-inch sections on there. Now I got 1 4 and 1 8. I got a little bit more length. So now we're down that deep in the hollowing. With a bigger tool, we'll hear hopefully less complaining. So I'm trying to drill. Yeah, no squealing. So we've got the right size tool. So tool overhang is definitely an issue to think about. And as I go 2.5 inches over the, let's go back there. So I go about 2.5 inches over the rest. I want to take that distance, multiply 5 or 7 to get my handle length. So 2.5 by 5 is, can't figure that, 12.5. So I got a 12-inch handle. So that sounds about right. I did my math right. 3 times 5 is 15. So we get 2.5 should be 12. So what I'm saying is that the more tool overhang you have, the more handle you need to support it. And then the more tool overhang you have, the beefier tool you might need. Or some other form of support. Not too bad. I think the shape is looking nice and feeling nice. What we need to do now is clean that up on the inside. So let me go on to, so that's, this whole thing done with the spindle gouge, right? So let's take that out. I'll finish that up later. So I want to show, another couple of spindle tools on face grain work. So there you go. You've got a nice little sort of start of a cup that now we can mount on this side, shape the outside, and finish up. I'd stick it back in there and finish sanding and smoothing all that out with a scraper of some sort and get that done. So, but that's all spindle gouge work. Let's see. Do I have this. I'll do this blank. I need to change this chuck out for a different one. And I want to show that spindle gouges, at least turning gouges, not roughing gouges, I use on faceplate work a lot. Get a different chuck on here. This is again another Axminster chuck. This is the 100, the Clubman version of this chuck. I'm going to change. I got a chunk of wood in here I was going to do. Again, this is nice about this chuck jaw set. If we look down in here, we got flats on here, and it goes fairly deep. So you can take a cylinder and sink it all the way to the bottom and then move it out as you need it, kind of thing. And then obviously you can right size it to fit the jaws, which I have on this piece of cherry. So I'm expanding into that recess that was in there. Let me zoom this out a little bit. Let me just check that. That's still focused okay, I think. And then what we've got here is access to use spindle gouges on the face. So normally I would rough this out or true this up with a bowl gouge, because that's probably one of my favorite tools to use. But we can and will do this with a spindle gouge. So I'm just going to true this up. Let's see if I got that in there correctly. I got a little wobble on it, so I'll double check that chuck seat. Make sure I got nothing in my chuck jaws or on it. And double check how that's it. So this is a fairly shallow tenon, maybe 1/8 of an inch. These jaws hold, I guess that's 2 millimeters. These jaws hold about 4.5 millimeter recess. And so there's plenty on there for the small piece of cherry. Yeah, I think this back face is fine. It's this front face. It's a little bit out. All right. So got this large spindle gouge. I'll use it since it's in hand. And we're just going to rough it out a little bit. And I wonder if this one... show the side view. Maybe a bit more speed. Spindle gouge, cleaning that up. Nice little fluffy shavings coming off that. And then obviously across the face is fine. This one's going to be a little bit big. Can't get my... I've got a locking collar on my tool rest, so I usually don't use a gouge this big on small things. I'm not cutting quite at center. So if I was to do I've got a gouge here that I don't know if I showed this one or not, but we will use that little one, and this is 1/2 inch. Having to swap out gouges my adapters. I think I need to get a few more adapters out here. So I've got a small gouge here, a nice sort of spindle gouge that is sort of a typical sort of diameter. This is 3/8 gouge, and sharpened 35 degrees. Actually, is this one? This one might be 40 degrees. I might hand sharpen this one, I think. Yeah, and then this one is hand sharpened again at 40 degrees. But look at the profile difference. This is the low profile gouge that Carter & Son used to make. They don't make anymore. If you look at the width of the tool and the skinniness here, it leaves a very sort of shallow flute there, almost like a continental gouge, or a almost like a roughing gouge in a way. But it's a very cool gouge to get sort of nice scooping coves. So this one is more of a traditional style of spindle gouge, regular spindle gouge. It's not a detail gouge; it's a regular spindle gouge. This is a Carter & Son Mike Mahoney line, the double-ended tool. So on this end, you got a bowl gouge, 3/8 bowl gouge, and a 3/8 spindle gouge. So this tool will do typical spindle gouge stuff. So let me so this is faceplate work, right? So this is something to remember, is that we are now doing faceplate work where the grain runs this way. So as we have our piece of wood here, all of our grain is running this way, returned it that way, then all the grain's running up and down. So that's what's happening on this piece of wood. And so now we're cutting from small diameter to large diameter in that direction to have this grain, this cut supported by this cut, this guy supported by this guy. And so we want to cut in that direction. All right, so that's why I moved my tool across the rest, cutting from small diameter to large diameter on the outside, opposite of spindle or spindle-oriented wood. So if we do nice rounded edge on a plate that we might turn, and then just making some stuff up here, I'm just going to go kind of in the other way. To make a dish. And depending on how steep we make that wall, if we take a look at this tool now, I'll stop it. Sorry, I didn't have that really showing that side very well. This tool is going to be able to get down in that cove really quite nicely and stuff like that. So this tool has a nice place in doing spindle work coves when you're doing spindle work, but also in faceplate. So let's load that one up in this handle, and we'll show where I like to use this one the most. So this one I like to use when I'm cutting with this one. If we take a closer look, bear with me as I zoom that in a little bit. I'm cutting, I'm holding the tool almost, parallel or flat. I can cut with that edge right there. If I turn it over, I can cut with that edge now. And so the cutting edge changes depending on how I rotate the tool. That's not true for a lot of tools. This one, I will say part of that reason is I've learned from Cindy to grind this on the platform at a 40-degree bevel angle, but sweeping the tool from the top of the platform down to the bottom, trying to maintain the same bevel on angle of bevel on all sides. So rubbing the bevel there. I'll make sure I don't run out of wood. I can get a nice, I can turn the tool right over on 90 degrees. Turn the tool. Let me do it with the hand out of the way. So over on 90 degrees. Just like cutting a cove. And let's see that angle of it. You got a nice little cove in there. It's just cut so well. So the shape of the tool definitely helps define what kind of shape you're going to cut. So for me, this is a fantastic one for doing those sort of coved foots on the bottom of plates, or any sort of cove, whether it's face grain work or spindle work. So shape of tools, size of tools, spindle work, face grain work, all kinds of things come to mind. So let me catch up on chat here. Let's see. Michael McEwen joined, saying hi. Thank you, Michael, for joining. Let's see. Just traveling back up. There you go. It's all. I think I caught up. Let's see. Rex question: there are Supernova 2 equivalent to the Axminster Jaws? Hopefully somebody answered. What did Cindy say? Most chuck manufacturers make jaws like that. Look on Craft Supplies or whatever the Nova chucks are. So yeah, hopefully they do. Gonzalo, welcome. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. Hopefully, being in California, you're nice and warm. I think you're in with Cindy Navarro over there. Let's see. It's a fast way to remove material. I think that's the back hollowing. Yeah. What is the advantage of back hollowing? Just like Cindy said, it's a fast way. It's not necessary, but it's kind of one of those things that when you see Richard Raffin do it, you got to try it, right? So I've been one to do that. So just more show off. Look at me. You can't see me at all. There we go. Robert says, Todd, you have this piece very securely mounted in the deep jaws. It seems like there's a lot of leverage and force on that piece. Do you think there's a risk of it popping out of a chuck if you're just holding more typical tenon size? Possibly, yeah. That is something to consider, Robert, for sure. When I had this guy in the chuck jaws all the way secured. Let me get small again. All the way secured up to here. Then I did have a lot of holding power. If I was to hold it on this little tenon, that might not be enough. But it's a small piece of wood. It's there's not a whole lot of pressure that I'm actually applying to the wood. It's more pressure pushing this, not this tool, but hang on. It's more pressure holding this tool. It's off the. Let me zoom out a little bit more on the tool rest and leveraging against the wood. So I'm pushing down on the wood, leveraging up on the up on the upper surface of that thing up there, so that the roof of the wood. But there's not a lot of extra pressure on the wood, other than it's pulling out. And so definitely dovetailed jaws, profile jaws, I think you'd have a problem with, or straight-sided jaws. The bird's beak jaws would work. I think Nova has a lot of those bird beak jaws. But something that's got a dovetail type of thing to it. The straight profile jaws, it might have a problem. I haven't done a lot of it, so I don't have as much more to say about it than that at this point. Cindy's dropping a lot of links or ideas of where to get the Nova stuff. Martin, if you were in a larger bowl vessel, would you use that rest that could fit? If you're in a larger bowl vessel, would you use a rest that could fit in the opening for more support? Yeah, typically for me, back hollowing is not going to go on a large vessel. It's always something small, I'd say 3-inch diameter and less. You're not going to be, one of the reasons why, I think, is because with the back hollowing technique, you're kind of limited to, let me back this off so I can just, whoops, a little squeal from my lathe bed. You've got the tool like this, so you're running out of room, and this is reaching quite a ways over the rest. So I don't think you're going to get much further than a couple of inches and over the rest. And that, remember, is sweeping an arc inside the vessel. So inside here, you're kind of sweeping that arc up here. And so I wouldn't, that's about, 2 inches into the vessel, but then you've got to remember your back down here. Let me move that out a little bit more. You're still, a little ways away from the vessel because you got to be back here, angle a little bit, and so you're running out of tool room. So you're not going to get very far, and I think you're limited, at least in my experience, to about 2 or 3 inches in diameter of doing back hollowing. Let's see. Sorry, moving my mouse. Rick asks, do you carry Axminster chuck? I wish we did. We do not. Working on that, hopefully, maybe at some point in the future. Yeah, so this is a good point. It's the Woodturning store. Steve Fulgoni up in New York carries Axminster. Go to him. There's a lot of, we have similar names. I'm the Woodturning tool store, and Steve is the Woodturning store. And so, just double check, make sure you got the right place. So we've had many people ask us, and we've had to point them to Steve. So, oops, sorry. Martin says, I like the close camera work. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Scott, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to have you here. Thank you. Scott Hampton from Hampton Woodturnings. So Cindy says, with back hollowing, aren't you leveraging against the opening? That would limit the diameter you can do. Yes, exactly. Part of what I was trying to say, you're leveraging against the tool rest and leveraging into the opening. So you're kind of limited. And also the shape of the tool is limiting too, right? So if we, and this is why the shape of the tool will really kind of help you dictate how to back hollow. So if we look closely at this one for a quick second, then we can see that, look at that. I grabbed this, I set this on top of there. It's almost a really good lid fit there. Not quite, but close. Anyway, the shape of the tool kind of has to conform, and if I can get this, let me get myself off there. Has to kind of conform to the opening, right? So, and I need to focus. up here a little bit. There we go. So that right there is kind of the shape that you have to have. So you're leveraging off the tool rest down here where my thumb is up to the opening. And as you go bigger, you can't really get that shape to go, right? So you have to change the shape of your tool a little bit. So that's one thing to consider. So if I look at that shape, it works fairly well. If I look at this shape, it might do okay for a little bit of it, but a much smaller opening. Obviously, this disaster of a shape is not really going to work too well. There's not enough wing there really to cut. So what I've seen and learned is that a nice sort of fingernail profile, you know, with if you got pretty fingers, my fingers aren't that kind of profile, but maybe finger anyway. Dainty fingertip profile works best, not a sharp one, and with wings that have you know, some wing to them to be able to cut up there. So yeah, leveraging is a big part of it. It's really the only way to do it, and you're pushing down on this tool rest quite a bit with your tool. All right, I think I've caught up on the things, the chat. So I think that's about everything there. I may end up just dishing this out for something. I'm not sure what. Maybe I'll put a tenon on here. This is scrap pretty much now on this guy. So there you go. A little bit of breakout there. A little too aggressive, Todd. But yeah, I think that's gonna be. Oops, hang on. There it is. That might be it for today. So I think hopefully everybody got something out of that and enjoyed what I showed. Give it a shot. Look at your different grinds of Spindle Gouge and think about them as a versatile tool as well. One thing you will know, I did not use a roughing gouge on this guy. Just Spindle Gouges. Something with you know, just use your common sense, the size of the tool, and the purpose of the tool for the job. So spindle roughing gouges are meant for roughing spindles from square to round, and maybe a bit of shaping on that spindle. With that, though, I think we will call it a day. And so thank you everyone for joining again. I appreciate the support. 2 weeks from today, I'll be maybe live streaming. We'll be at the Tennessee Symposium, and so it won't be here live in the shop. So you'll get notified one way or the other, perhaps, what's going to happen. I'm not quite sure. So look for me in February for sure. And tomorrow, be sure to go and check out Cindy's demo. And we'll see you there tomorrow. Beyond that, watch out for vendor showcase coming up in April, and you know, support your wood turning community, and everybody have a great weekend, and stay warm and be kind, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now. All right, there's the button.